So
that's going to lead us right into news.
Yeah, it is.
Here comes the new challenger.
Now, for people listening, you were already listening to the podcast, and I know this is going to sound weird, but we have to interject 4 days later after you recorded because there's been some breaking news and some news we meant to cover. Also, if you're watching the video version, there's magically 2 other heads on the screen.
They're up there.
They're up there on your screen. They're down there on the screen.
I put them up top because
because it's almost Black History Month.
I mean, I was just like, hey, they're the guests. They get top, but that works too.
I have to make you uncomfortable a little bit all the time.
I'm chilling, man.
Nah, but joining us, we have our good homies, Reject Reef, and that one guy, Kev, the OG and GP himself. And we wanted to come back into the podcast to address the recent, was it G4, right?
Yeah, it was on G4.
The recent G4 drama, would you call it? Not really drama, but kind of.
Yes and no. It's turned into drama, but not from G4. Like the community.
It's an ongoing thing in the game industry.
Yeah.
Now, all right, I need you to retell what happened.
Either of you guys want to tell it out, or?
I do think that there is a larger discussion about Red Dead Online and that we need to have eventually about game design versus immersive experience and comparing the Red Dead Online multiplayer experience versus the solo player one. But I actually want to talk about something so much more important than Red Dead Online: sexism in gaming. In joining G4,
this is not where I thought we were going, but I'm here.
I had no idea.
I'm listening. Yeah.
In joining G4, I was ecstatic to be part of something that I grew up watching as a child. But every time G4 is brought up in various channels, even in this YouTube channel, we have the chat in front of us. I can see you. Without a doubt, there will be backlash because I'm not as bangable as the previous hosts. It's somehow...
Talk to him, Frosk!
It has somehow been expected that you can talk about how much you jerked off to women as a compliment.
It's
not a compliment.
It's weird.
It's dehumanizing and it's weird. Women do not exist to be nice on the eyes for you. Morgan Webb, Olivia Munn did not exist to be nice on the eyes for you.
Hey, she cooking, y'all.
And that's just obvious sexism. You don't need to explicitly objectify women or declare that you hate women to be sexist. Just go ahead and check out Thorne's latest meltdown on Twitter for some spark notes. Now, here at XPlay, our reviews are written and produced by a team of people. There are too many games for one person to shoulder the burden. So we divide and conquer. And when we use language like we or I, that's the reviewer. That's coming from the mouth and experience of the reviewer reading that review. And that's not to say that Gerard, TBH, Adam, or myself don't contribute to the reviews. We absolutely do. But it'll always be in varying degrees and take a whole team behind us. That's why we're XPlay and not Adam Play. We have done the experiment and controlled for the variables. Adam will read a script written by the same writer that I will read the other half of the script for, but I'll be the one flamed. And yeah, it also happens to Gerard and TBH, but that doesn't discount the sexism of how it happens to me when it does. Both things can be true, that there is a general hatred of any change that isn't Adam, and that I'll receive special flame just for being a woman. And I wish I could turn the camera around so that you could see the incredible team that make XPlay. Half of our producers and writers are women. Emily, Abby, Megan, Joe, Jake, Zipper, Gabby. It goes on and on and on. Former writers that are now on ATOS like Vanessa. When you're in our DMs or on those YouTube comments or in Twitch chat right now, those reactionary threads thinking that I'm somehow ruining your current XPlay experience because you can't objectify me how you previously did to Morgan, or that I'm somehow less qualified to speak on something, but you can't quite put your finger on why, even though I'm reading the exact same script as Adam, but you have no problem with he's part of it. You're letting your unconscious biases ruin my day, and you're gatekeeping the gaming space. So maybe for 2022, we be a bit nicer, a bit more self-reflective, and we enjoy the fact that people are working hard to make free content for you. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Peace.
Hey, I gotta back you up.
Because I know this started from our Twitter convo. Reef was asking us pretty much about our thoughts on it. So yeah, Reef, can you retell what the whole deal is?
Yeah, so G4 was having I believe it was like a live stream, and they had one of their on-air talent, Frosk, and she had some things to get off her chest regarding like women in the space of gaming, and basically she was just like, it was just like a long string of consciousness where she was basically saying like, okay, like people in chats, they need to just like get rid of all this toxic stuff, stop making women uncomfortable by, you know, sexualizing them, stop being weird. You don't need to tell talent that that you jerked off to them and whatnot, and just being overall weirdos. And she knows that this is not going to be taken well by her because she's less bangable than other, you know, on-air talent in the gaming space. And it was just basically something that needed to be said. And
Definitely.
a lot of people took it the wrong way. And that's what I seen first. I just seen that reaction about it. And I wanted to like ask you guys, because you guys are more in tune with gaming and the gaming community. And I'm like, all right, let me get these guys' opinion, because everybody else that I'm hearing from, like they're a little questionable on their moral scale when it comes to this type of stuff.
Now, what makes, we don't got to obviously say the names or anything, but what makes what they said questionable?
It's just when I seen the videos, and then I was like, all right, well, you know, I get their perspective. But then when I looked at their other content, it was along the lines of like, oh, okay, this person just has a problem with like women and respect women.
Yeah. Any women that have some sort of power or, you know, have confidence in themselves.
Yeah. So I wanted to get like an outside opinion of that.
Yeah. What were you saying, Kev?
Oh, I was just saying they don't even have to have power. They just have to exist.
Oh yeah.
In that space. It's really absurd.
It really is. And it's to the point now where like games should be so equal. They should be ridiculously equal opportunity. And then, you know, in the safer spaces, it is. But to know that there's still areas in gaming where this is a problem just blows my mind, because like how are there's women in gaming who would like know more about games than the average dude would, regardless like of what, like if he's a pro gamer, quote unquote, or not. Shit, I know I probably turn a game on with some of these chicks and they bust my ass. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't understand it, especially given how far we've come. You know what I mean? Especially in the gaming sphere.
Right. And I just don't understand it. Like, a lot of people were saying like it came out of nowhere. And I'm like, have you like kept in line with like the news? And I'm somebody who considers myself a gamer, but I've kind of had to fall back due to just being like an adult and doing all this other stuff.
I get it.
And even I knew like this was still an issue, whether it was like stuff about Twitch or stuff about like women who work for like game development companies. I'm like, this has been a thing for a while. So I don't know why you guys are acting like she's like talking with two heads.
Right. And especially given like, what was it last year, or the whole Activision thing, the whole sexual harassment deal happening with Activision. There were other companies. Was it CD Projekt, Chris?
I think that was just the Force Crunch. I'm not sure if it was anything about sexual misconduct.
I know there was another one.
Yeah. It pops up almost every other day, it feels like. Just news stories coming in and out. But Yeah, man. I mean, the craziest part was, I mean, personally, I was in the live chat while it was happening, and I remember it was, I was waiting for our friends over at Haptic Intel to go live on their channel, and I'm just sitting in G4's chat, and they're like, I forget what the topic was specific. It was something about like you're looking forward to, you want changed in the gaming industry along those lines. And like, you know, some people are like, oh yeah, the PlayStation Game Pass, and then other people are like this and that, and then Frosk is like, well, here I go, and then just, you know,
Just went off.
unloads, and I'm just sitting here like, yeah, fuck yeah. And then I see the chat, and I'm like, oh.
Chat is never a safe space in those contexts.
And like,
absolutely not.
Yeah.
it was bad, man. And like, I don't even want to like quote anything or like say anything that was said, but like, I was like, oh, maybe it's just YouTube because I'm watching on YouTube. So then I head over to Twitch, and it's just as bad. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me right now. And then like, she's like, while in mid, I guess rant, and she's like, I can see you in chat doing it right now. We're reading you proving me right. And I'm like, oh man, she's so fucking right now, and I'm behind it. But it was a weird situation, and the aftermath has been even weirder, almost, to say the least. Seeing like people come out and being like I saw some people talking about Olivia Munn and Morgan Webb, and whatnot from you know, G4 OG, and they're like, that's what they were there for. They were there for like to look pretty on the eyes. They weren't there because they knew anything or they were funny. They were there because they were fuckable. And I'm like, you're missing the point, man. Yeah. Like, even if that was the case back then, it's like it's about progress. Like, it doesn't matter about that. Like, it's trying to say an overall, like, we've moved past that. Like, that's not what they were for. That's not what they are for as people. Just because you think that way doesn't mean it's right, and also don't say it, because if you do think that way, shut the fuck up, you know?
Pretty much.
Yeah, for sure. It's not even just, you know, that chat in particular. This is like, as someone that goes to tournaments, I used to, you know, be pretty heavy in the Smash Bros. Scene. You hear it in person. You hear it, you see it in tournament streams, you hear it in the chats. It gets so bad that, you know, some commentators, they will turn off the chat in the tournament. They can't do the chat or anything like that. Or if they pop up, they're immediately objectified. I'm sure we all remember the big 2020 like Smash Bros / fighting game community blow up with all the sexual assault accusations coming out. It was just nonstop, back to back to back to back. And it just shows an underlying issue that, you know, has been living in the gaming community that people always know about, but they kind of just push it to the side, sweep it under the rug. You know, I'm just here for games. I'm not worried about that stuff. And you keep doing it until it happens to somebody you know. And then we end up with twitlongers from, you know, your friend that was just dealing with this. You know, it's tough to deal with because the internet is so anonymous. That is the hardest part, because these people, they can just say what they want and they can delete the account and make a new one like it didn't happen.
Yeah. And everybody's so brave behind their monitor too. Like, they don't, because it's a lot of times I'm like, you wouldn't say this in person.
No.
Like, you were standing right there, you wouldn't do that shit.
No, that's why I'm a strong believer in beating people up again. I'm not telling you guys to go do that, but I'm a strong believer in beating people up again, because a lot of people are just used to saying whatever they want to do, saying whatever they want now, and there's no consequences.
Yeah. It's sad to see, definitely. I mean, on the brighter note, I kind of brought this up on a couple of the tweets that I brought up, but like, my favorite thing about the thing, besides just overall Frost's standpoint, was the people that worked for her, backing her up, that like really made me happy of what G4 is now. Because like, you have all this loud ass hate, but like, at the same time, that's not the main community that's like the majority. That's just the minority that's like screaming so loud that it's you can't not hear it. But like, the crew behind the cameras like cheering for her, Sessler from his side screen in the cesspool, which, side note, is great. But like, him like clapping along, and the other guys as well, and like, just seeing those people and like them supporting her when she's speaking that truth was great.
Right.
And I really loved being there in that moment for that. So that was really cool to see. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's hard to see all the, like, I keep seeing like TikToks about it, and like dudes are like going above and beyond what she said somewhat. They're saying like, oh, she said everybody is like saying that women are like this, like not everybody's saying that, and like they're offended that she's right, but they're overextending it, like they're taking it to some weird like exaggeration level that doesn't need to be. Like, she's right, it's not everybody, but like it's there, like realize it. Exactly. But I don't know.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird because like at first I didn't see the responses of like her getting support besides like the actual like cast and crew. I just seen like the visceral response from like, I guess, the YouTube and like Twitch gaming community. And I'm like watching videos, I'm like, first of all, why are you so angry?
Yeah.
Second of all, I'm like, you're like really overanalyzing this whole thing. It's like, she's saying she's not bangable. That's like projecting. That's her insecurity. I'm like, dude, you're missing like her point. You're missing her whole entire
She's
point.
literally reiterating what was presented to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if it was insecurity, where would that insecurity come from?
Yeah.
Other than the objectification of the women that don't look like her. And it's like, well, now they're, it's a mess. Yeah.
It's also weird too, like the whole Bangable thing, because it's like, another thing is she's gay, openly gay on the show, talks about her wife so much on that show. It's like, why are people even talking about the fact whether or not she's bangable or not? Like, it doesn't matter, even if she was or not, because you wouldn't have a chance. Random chatter, 6969, like you don't exist as a person in her headspace. Right. She's just uncomfortable with the shit you're saying and trying to stick up for the other female co-hosts as well, because there's other females on there that, and they do shit on Attack of the Show that's very sexually charged. If you've watched Attack of the Show at all in this rebrand, you've seen Cassim full on have a kiss with Kevin Pereira on screen. Gina's fucking hilarious with all her innuendos and whatnot, and like it's just a good time, and it is like sexual jokes, but like that's what they are. They're jokes. That's where it stops. You don't go past that. Right. And that's what a lot of these people are doing, which is making it an uncomfortable place for them to work when they have to see this Twitch chat the whole entire stream just constantly saying this shit. But it's
like, wouldn't you want that? Like, at least these girls aren't like these stuck up preppy chicks on this show acting like they're too good for it. No, they're gamers like you and me. Like they're the everyday person. Like, why objectify them? Why attack them that way? And I think it's weird because gaming as a whole always seems like it's fighting for position, like gamers and just the whole everybody in the ecosystem. Gaming has always been like, no, take us seriously. This is real. Remember with the whole debate about his video games, like esports, they had that whole thing about like, is it considered that? And it's like, all right, gaming wants to be taken so seriously, but the people like this who are saying things like this and these horrible jokes and coming at this chick, it's like, well, you're the one holding us back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to know, you want to be taken seriously, but you can't act serious.
It's like you want gaming to grow, but if I am somebody who works for a big corporation and I'm potentially want to invest in like, maybe I want to start an esports team or just maybe want to shell off some money and get a bunch of people to make gaming content. And then I hear a woman voice her concerns, and then you see that visceral reaction, and it's like, oh, why? I'm not gonna invest in this now because this might be a PR nightmare. Let me fall back. And it's like now you're costing the whole gaming community possible progress.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was a huge thing in the fighting game scene. It still is a huge thing. The whole grassroots tournament scene versus the esports scene. And a lot of people push back against it because they're like, oh, it's so sterile. And by sterile, they mean I can't call people slurs anymore after I beat them or if they beat me. I can't, talk about somebody's girlfriend while I'm playing a game against them because now everything's recorded and you're not going to get that esports money.
Yeah.
And they'd prefer to keep everybody in the mud or, keep everybody in the bucket with them, crabs in a bucket, more or less. They're just pulling each other down. Nobody wants to grow and like really progress beyond this point because they're satisfied. They're like, look, I'm happy. I'm playing this game. I want more money and you should give me more money for being a shitty person. But if you're not, then like, fuck you,
Right.
Yeah. It's a weird mindset, man,
Yeah.
these people. But I don't know what else to say, personally. Because I feel like it's cut and dry. That's the thing. Like, she's right. And, like, that's the crazy part is, like, yeah, you can be mad, but be mad for the right reasons. Be mad because she's right, and then work towards progress and, like, putting that anger towards some sort of solution as opposed to shitting on her for voicing an opinion that is very evidently right after Twitch chat lights up with, like, slurs and all this other shit and sexualization of her and, like, for no reason. Like, use your anger in the right way. I mean, most people seem to be honest, besides the select few that have the loud voices. But yeah, I don't know, man. Needless to say, I think G4 is great, though. I think G4's relaunch has been handled really well. I'm glad these new people have been added. And then, you got your OGs as well. But, like, I feel like the cast now is very diverse, and it's great to see that. And, like, each of them have their own sense of humor, and then each of them have their own, like, cultures behind what they like. And, like, you got the shooter guy over here, you got the fighting game guy, you got the guy who plays every single game to 100% completion, and you got this chick over here who plays a bunch of esports, and then you have the anime girl, and, like, you have all these like minds coming together to just make dope ass content. Don't shit on it and don't ruin it,
Right. Like, don't.
That's why I was like so curious about it because, like, I fall back on gaming because being busy. So like the way I get most information is from YouTube, is from like you guys, is from like watching Kev's tweets. So like when I seen that reaction, I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. Like, is that just how it is? This like how the gaming community feels as a whole? Am I missing something? So that's why I had to like tap into y'all like to make sure like I wasn't missing anything.
Right. And that's what made me want to do this because like I said, we meant to talk about this before because we talked about it kind of off mic before, but once you brought it up, I was like, oh yeah, this is a perfect opportunity because I mean, yeah, we could tweet about it all day, but I just wanted to get that open dialogue with you guys and just continue that conversation we were having because I felt like we were in a good groove and I wanted to get, that our conversation down. I think it's really important to have it because especially to let people know what side we're on too. Like I don't want it to ever seem like our silence would mean that we're not against what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd like to put my foot in the sand and be like, no, I don't fuck with that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because that's the issue with a lot of big names. There's these loud voices that are saying these wild things, and there's big names that aren't saying anything about it. If you don't say anything about it, you might as well condone it at that point. Even if you actively don't, and you're like, if someone asks you, you're like, no, I'm against sexual assault or objectification of women. If you don't say it, it doesn't matter. Didn't count.
Yeah. Right.
100%.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how or if Twitch and YouTube handles their chat going forward because this isn't the first time Twitch chat has been in the news. So I'm really curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, because Twitch chat is a whole other beast.
Twitch chat's so wild, dude.
Yeah.
It's the Wild West in there, man.
Boy, I turned that shit off immediately.
I feel you.
Yeah,
I feel that
too.
entirely.
Me too.
But yeah, thank you guys for coming on. Genuinely, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate you guys for opening up that dialogue as well on Twitter. And apologies for, not talking about it in general podcasts for everyone else, just because, we are very unprofessional when it comes to our podcast for pre-production. We're just like, you know what? We're here to talk about games, and then we
used to
talk
be.
about shit, and then we forget about talking about shit when the mics are on.
It's
So
funny because we used to be like we
Yeah, we had
used to be
notes
way
and shit.
better at having notes and
yeah,
and then eventually it just became like, what happened? Like, all right, let's just fuck it.
Yeah,
let's
let's
turn the
fucking
mics
do
on. We'll figure it
hell
out.
yeah. Meanwhile, we're talking about all the shit we should be talking about like a half hour prior to hitting the record button. But
Right.
still, we definitely wanted to hop in and talk about it, and we appreciate some of the cool people in the community for hopping on and making us, say our side. And we support Frosk. We stand with Frosk.
Definitely.
So
Shout out to G4.
Sure.
shout out for G4, SB4, Q4, G4.
Yeah.
You got to toss that in there because
SB4, Q4, G4.
yeah,
Or you need us in there.
sure.
Got you.
But yeah, thank you guys so much. Do you guys want to shout your stuff out so that people can check you out on social media as well?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Kev, go first.
So yeah, sure, man. You can catch me at that art guy Kev, choking. That art guy Kev on Instagram and now on TikTok, which is weird, but yeah,
It is weird.
Moving on.
That's
Yeah.
weird, weirdo.
Embrace it. TikTok's where the engagement is.
Me, you can catch me Reject Reef on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, everything. I want to give a shout out to my guy Hayes Business, my guy Matt. Check out his gaming channel as well.
Dope.
Hell yeah,
I'm gonna follow him. I remember you adding him in that same tweet. So I'm gonna follow him.
definitely.
this is
All
how we
those
do
are
it.
going to be on the screen and in the description down below on YouTube, and Antle type it.
Right. I remember to put that in.
I'll type up the description while you edit the podcast since it's got to be out tomorrow. I got you.
Mix the first part of the podcast. I only got to mix this part, so it ain't gonna be too bad.
It's all good. We're a team here. But yeah, thank you guys for coming on. Yeah, that's all. I guess we'll move on. Yeah. What?
No, nothing. I thought I missed
What happened?
something. Nothing happened. Yeah. Thanks,
That's a good way to end it there.
That's how it's gonna end.
Yeah, that's pretty on brand.